welcome to the kitchen table. This week we've got Kat Connolly from You're Alright on Instagram, and we've got her friend Nicola, mum of two, and we've got Maddie and Maureen. And today we're talking about relationship breakdowns. I think it's a topic that we can all relate to, and life is shit sometimes. Just start with the questions because Kat on her Instagram has reached out with a poll of what people wanted to hear.
So people, there was quite a lot of people that responded, which was really good. Some of them were random, some of them I couldn't print, but that's another story for another time. And there was quite a lot that were the same, so I just kind of wrote the ones that were together to kind of put them together. And one of them was how do you deal with the aftermath of a breakup or a relationship?
Do you know, I think it's probably best to start off before we even talk about any of those things by saying that none of us are experts in relationships. Clearly says she married twice and stuff like that. So I just want to get that right in there, that none of us are obviously
we're expert in our own
but
lives.
Yes, what we can do is share our own stuff and our own experiences. And I think for me, even before we came to the table today, and I knew you'd asked those questions, and I said to Maureen, for me, it's again what we always talk about. It comes back to your mental health and how it impacts on how it makes you feel when somebody in your mind lets you down or breaks your trust or whatever. So I think that's the first thing to say. But specifically to that question, the aftermath, how do you deal with it? How does anybody deal with it, man?
It's subjective, isn't it? It's everybody's different, and it depends why you broke up as well. I think that's a massive part of it. But everybody's different, so do you want to share?
Well, I don't want this to be all about me, right? But I have got so much to say in it, because I think it's really, really important to your happiness, how you deal with your day-to-day life is totally impacted by other people every single day, because on one hand you thrive and flourish with amazing relationships and you're grateful for them, but on the other hand you're still encountering people that upset you, that let you down, and at that, it's really difficult to actually deal with that. But to have a great life, you've got these things to deal with as well. But if I go back to my first divorce, when he was cheating, I remember it was the only time in my life I felt suicidal. I think you all know that, I've shared it. But I remember somebody I spoke to, and I did get therapy because the bank, you get it through the job that I was in, so I took it. I took anything that was available, friends, anybody I could speak to. But one of the pieces of advice that was given to me in that really difficult, low, rock bottom point in my life was, you don't need to commit to anything, you don't need to make promises to yourself, all you need to do is take one day at a time. And that worked for me, and I don't know why, I don't even know what was going on in my mind that worked, but I just kept thinking, if I get through this one day, that's another day ticked off. It's just I'm only thinking about today, I'm only thinking about what I need to do today. So if I just get through that, I'll then think about the next day. So it was never, you were just taking it literally a day at a time. So I was always going to say that's just how I dealt with it.
I love the question though. I think what it brings about is sort of the acknowledgement that I feel like people are little worlds, right? So when someone enters your world, they bring the whole world, so their friends, their relationships, and especially if it becomes one of the core part of your lives, if you need to break up, or if the relationship is no longer working, I think the anxiety under the question is but I don't love him anymore, but I still loved his mom, or you shared things with other members of the family, and the anguish is whether you're going to lose that as well. But I think that's really, it's a case by case basis. If someone really loves you, also I mean, you don't need to see each other every day to have a relationship. I mean, there's so much that you can tell, but
there's other
like,
things you can factor
yeah.
in, like, oh, it could work with a bit of distance, or it could work this
Yeah.
way, or, you know, I'll accept that flaw. We've all got flaws. I think that's another really important thing. You need to try and accept people's flaws.
Yeah. One of the best advice I've ever been given, it wasn't even an advice to me, it was like Tony Robbins or something like that. Is it actually Tony who said that? I can't remember. But basically, he's someone in the self-development world says, swap your expectations for appreciation. When you stop expecting something from someone and you find, you know, what you're grateful for about them, then you can't be let down, really. Like, there's no expectations. And I swapped, like, that's a massive swap I made in my life, and I don't feel like there's very little people I expect anything from, maybe just my husband, actually. Everyone else.
That's a different story. I've just got a list every day.
What you're saying about, like, how there's other factors to the relationship as well. We were in a situation where there was a breakdown within the relationship, and we had to walk away from a very difficult situation, and there was basically casualties within that as a result of that, and that's something that you have to deal with, and there was a lot of guilt left there. But in the end, it was like, well, do we do what we want for our mental health to help us get through this situation, or do we keep going back, and it's like basically eating away at you, decaying you, and you can't go on living like that. So you have to eventually say, well, where's the line? Where do you draw the line? Where do you...
Yeah. And I mean, I think first and only relationship that's really, like, crucial is the relationship with yourself.
Yeah,
if you don't
100%.
betray yourself, then, or if you're in a relationship that betrays yourself, then that's where it becomes, it's all about boundaries.
When you were saying that there, I was thinking about, like, recent events personally as well, where I've had relationships, and it's not just about your partner, and I think that's what you're talking about. It's not just where you've fallen out of love or the relationship's just totally broken down. There's relationships with long-term friends that you've had for ages that you're suddenly thinking, oh man, I need to draw the line here, I need to draw the line because it's affecting me. But there's also family relationships where, and that's the hardest probably of them all, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Nicola, because you make a decision in your mind that I'm going to have to break away from this because it's going to do me more damage than good. That actual breaking away, even although you know it's the right thing for your mental health, is fucking hard, because the guilt lives with you. You know, it's the best way that I can describe it is, for me, it's like bereavement, because it's like the same feeling as somebody dying, except you're the one playing God. You're making a decision. You're going, oh, that. So it's not that you know, it's not that you're a complete bastard and just go, oh, fuck yeah, no, that's me, I'm all happy now, I cut you off, la la la, I'm happy as bananas. No, you're no, actually cutting off anybody, whether it's a long-term, you know, partnership or family relationship or long-time friend, is hard, because you do feel horrific. But you need to do it, you know, if it means that your mental health is going to be at risk. Because
I think, like, the things, but as well, like, it comes from life experience, doesn't it? Like, I'm thinking about, like, aftermath of breakups, right? When I was 16, I was totally in love with this, I was going to say guy, right, this boy, and I was an arsehole, right, but I loved him, I thought it was the best thing ever, and then he dumped me, inevitably, and I was absolutely gutted, and I remember getting the bus back for getting dumped, right, just crying the whole way in the bus back, and then I get in, and my mum wasn't in, so my dad was in, he was just like, oh fuck, right, and I was like, such and such dumped me, and I go up the stairs and I'm just literally making distressed farm animal noises in my bedroom, like just going every now and then, because I'm so gutted, right, and I honestly thought we were going to be together forever and all that shit. And my mum wasn't in, so she couldn't deal with it or give me a slap, get me together. So my dad comes up eventually with like 2 halves, like 2 whiskies. Now I'm 16, right? I'd never never drank before, right? So this was all new. And he was just like that, here. And he didn't want to talk to me about it, he didn't want to know how I felt. He was literally just like, drink that, whatever.
Typical Scottish man. Eh?
So I took a sip and he's like, no, tipping the back of it. And I'm like, oh. And the exhaustion for like literally crying for ages and then having a half with my dad's measures meant that within 20 minutes I was totally sparkled and I was sleeping. So that was fine till the next morning when my mum was like, right, what happened, blah, blah, blah. So obviously I think it's the end of the world. She's like, it'll be fine. I think a week passed by and we ended up getting back together and we went out with each other for like 3 years or something like that. So my dad fucking hated him because of that one night that happened, right? So that was great for relationships, right? But I think about being 16 and about thinking that your life is literally over and how scary that is. Because I'd put up a post unintentionally maybe a wee while ago about relationships and like different things, and the amount of young people that messaged that were like, it must have been the season for getting dumped or whatever, but they were messaging just like, I've recently just split up, I get dumped, like, this has broke down, blah blah blah. And they were all so young and they were so depressed quite naturally, but quite scarily thinking that that was it. And I always think back to like that time, where being 16 or whatever, and that night just thinking to myself, what have I got left? Can you imagine being 16 and thinking, what have you got left because some band for Springburn doesn't want to go with you? Seriously, that's ridiculous. So
it's true though, you're right.
And I'm not being an expert, but like, so like I feel like I'm not really in a place to advise they people, but I'm also like, you don't know how much like things are going to get better for you. I can't stress that enough. And then you get to a point where we're sitting here talking about relationships because you've had adult relationships and different things have happened. And you deal with them differently, like now, or what I've done through the years. Even though 9 times out of 10 I've been the person that's walked away for whatever reason, I think that it doesn't make it any easier. You still get sad, but like I'll allow myself that time to be sad, like to listen to like the sad songs, to literally go into my feelings and be a total maniac just in the fetal position, like and then I'm like, right, done. And I get up and then it's saying to myself like, right, you have to like do something that makes you happy, like whatever that is, like something simple. Go and make a cup of tea or wear mascara for the first time in a week so that you purposely don't ball down your face looking like a member of Kiss or something like that. Like try wee things. But I think it's just different, probably depending on like your age, your stage, like what caused the breakup, and when you finally, like you were saying a minute ago, accepted that enough's enough, because it doesn't make you feel good, it doesn't bring you happiness. And even though it's going to cause a shitstorm, the best thing is that you need to walk away.
I think one of the things that struck a chord with me there is, regardless of what age you are, one of the best pieces of advice that I like to give is speak to somebody, anybody, you know, your pals, your mum, your dad, whatever, you know, just because talking it out and talking through it is just, I'm always saying it, the best therapy you can get. So, but you do, depending on what age you are, depends on how, you know, emotionally I think you deal with it. But if you can just encourage everybody to talk, then you know, there's always a way out, there's always a solution.
There's always somebody that's been in that position or that can offer you some kind of advice that makes you think as well. Like,
sometimes it's not even advice, so it's just actually getting out there.
Definitely. Well, you feel lighter, don't you? Like, because you've been keeping it in and it's all been building up. You've drove yourself crazy with scenarios and thoughts. And then we'll sit and talk, we talk all the time. And like, even when we were driving here the day, there was something, I was going through a situation, I was talking to Nicola about it, and then she just flipped it and gave me a totally different perspective, and I was like, I didn't think about it like that. It wasn't necessarily a positive, right? But it did make me go like that. Oh, right. So even just for that different perspective, it's good.
And that is one of the hardest things to do, to change it, flip it on its head, because you've went over and over and over and over and over it a million times in your mind your way. So then to try and think about it differently. But the minute you do, usually, like when it's not a really serious thing, I find myself just thinking, oh, what a fucking arse that I was thinking that, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So there is that as well. It can give you a wee bit of realisation, or maybe I'm overreacting. Me overreact? No. But
I don't want to hear that.
No, I am only ready to hear that when I'm ready.
Somebody finishes telling you that perspective and you go, no, there's still an asshole. I'll stick to this.
That sound like you at all.
No, it's so weird.
So anyway, what else have you got on that wee book there from
So,
your followers? Kat?
Somebody had put like when parents are the cause of the relationship breakdown. So I don't know if they mean their parents or their
Just
potential
parents in
in-laws.
general. Has anybody had that?
We have.
I have as well. Good. Just get ripped into them.
Alright, so it's awkward, right? Because you can't say too much. But there was parents that were involved in my last relationship that were like that felt like they were a vital part of our partnership, our relationship being together. So much so that they would get upset or they would voice their opinions when they weren't included in decisions that absolutely did not affect them in their day-to-day life because it was between us two, but because they weren't consulted on it, oh, hell would break loose. And that could be things like, you know, where you decide you're going to move to, where you decide you're going to like get married if you're going to get married, where you're going to fucking do your weekly shop, whatever. Like if it didn't go in line with what this person felt should be happening, it just caused mass wars. And the emotional stress that brings to your life is just unbelievable, where you start walking on eggshells or you change because you're like, oh, should I tell that person that or should I do this? But you're also thinking, no, it's got fuck all to do with them. But you know that if you don't, there's going to be a backlash there, or they're going to bring like their opinions, regardless of whether you want to hear them or not, or whether they think it's right or wrong. They're going to tell you how they feel. And so that just causes arguments, like domestic arguments between you and your partner constantly, because somebody else is third wheeling in a relationship where they don't have any place to be third wheeling, but they're there. And it's so fucking hard, like, to make sure that you don't offend the parent or the in-law, your partner, but also keep true to yourself because you know internally something just isn't sitting right.
Did it play a part in the ultimate breakdown of that relationship for you, or was that just part and parcel with it, or was it?
I think, fuck.
Maybe not for you.
No, maybe not in the end.
It was just difficult to deal with it as
though,
well.
it chips away at it for sure, because
I
if
think
you're
it
just...
has a huge part of
Impact.
the breakdown.
Aye.
Maybe not.
I definitely, because like that, like if it's chipping away at it, right, you've already got the cracks in the foundation there. So then, like, although you don't want to be the person that casts up, something else happens and you've got this ammunition, and something else happens and you've got more ammunition, and it's all stemming from something that didn't even have to be involved in what the current issue is. But you definitely see how it's lent
It
itself
adds
to that.
to your everyday stresses. Like obviously, you've been in any relationship, there will be times when it's great and times where you want to actually kill one another. But at that point, having all this other stress, which is not like your day-to-day stresses, that can make it 10 times worse, and it can eat away, and then eventually you end up like arguing with each other, or it comes into it, and it can make things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily be arguing about to begin with.
It makes shit
It makes
awkward
it
as
spiral.
well, because you'll be like for that a minute ago when we were saying like whatever the relationship is with whoever it is, if you've decided that's enough for your mental state and your mental happiness, and you've drew a line and you're cutting yourself off, that's alright if you never have to see that person again or anybody else linked to them. But like I've done that in a relationship where I've went, I can't be in that person's life and I can't have them in my life for my mental health, but there's still that link to that person. So it could be things like events would be happening, I'm not going to go because I know that person's going to be there, and I know at some point it's going to get explosive, and why would I put myself through that time and time again? But that's what's stressful, because you've got somebody else who's trying to hold everybody together and be like, but that's my family and you're my family, you know, and you can't, and you feel for them. I totally felt for that person.
But there are also times where you can't get away from it. Like very recently we were at a funeral basically, and we wanted to be there, and the anxiety it caused going, knowing that people were going to be there that we didn't want to see, caused, and the two of us like were like this stressed out about it, and then you end up like you overthink things, and you're like you play things out in your head that might not actually happen, but it actually it makes you demented, and you're like but there are situations, it's okay when you can take yourself away from it, but that's not life. Life is
that's
that
right.
there will be, you could bump into in a supermarket, you could,
And
especially when you
before
have
you
had friends or family that are entwined, then it's hard to walk away from all
Right,
of
you
it.
can't walk away from everything. I totally agree.
But
I
you
agree
know
with
as well, like before you get to that point where you're able to say like we're done or I'm cutting this off or whatever, it's that anxiety that you feel every time there's a birthday, there's a Christmas, there's a wedding, there's an issue where you all have to be together and you don't, I know that I can speak for you because I know like you don't feel comfortable in that position, you can't enjoy it for what it is, for thinking that person's there and there's this atmosphere and you just kind of wait for it to end. So it's definitely that anxiety that you've put yourself through for such a long time before you get, I don't know, the courage or whatever to be able to say this is now, I can't carry on like this. Like,
No, I definitely get that as well. I do think, I do cut off people, right? I'm just going to say that. I do, I'd be a liar if I sat here and said that I didn't, right? But in saying that, it's exactly what you're saying, Nicola. You can't cut off absolutely everybody that gets on your tits in the world, right? You do need to actually put up with some people, but thankfully, you know, personally, I try to keep it to a minimum. I try to just, and also before I go there, I try to mentally get myself, you know, in a position where I'm just going to, you know, I think through how I'm going to behave, what I'm going to do, how I'm going to keep myself, you know, quiet. You know, I can do that sometimes and whatever. You know, I try to just get myself through the event if I'm there and that situation as quickly as possible, because it's no life to sit and say, yeah, you can just cut everybody off that gets on your nerves. But I remember, just going back to the parents thing though, what you were saying, the 16-year-old, my very first like serious boyfriend, I was madly in love with him as well, and his mom hated me, and I can say this because it doesn't fucking matter. But that situation that you're talking about with your 16-year-old relationship, mine was his mum made him finish with me, and he was a good boy, so he did what his mum said, and he didn't even really want to, right? He didn't want to, so he finished with me, and I was absolutely devastated as well, like you, devastated. 6 weeks went past, and you know that way you're over it at that age. 6 weeks, by then you're okay. But he came back to my door, wanting me back.
You told them.
I did. I'm thinking, if you'd done that 6 weeks ago, I'd have took you back because I was in rock, what I believed was rock bottom. But no, I just said, no chance. For your mom to decide when you chuck me again, no. So, you know, I remember that being, and ever since then, with partners, you know, Keith's not got his mum and dad now, God rest their souls, so I'm not talking about them, but I have had many relationships where the mum and dad, especially the mum, have had a big hand in manipulating things.
Situations.
Yes, and I've had to deal with that as well.
What about
So
sisters?
I
You
know.
ever had that?
Yes, I do have that. Yes.
manipulation is a huge part of it, I know. Like, and you think to yourself, why can you not fucking see this? Because it takes your partner or whatever a really long time. I think technology is happening as well.
Do you know, they've got, I meant to say that, that's what I was going to say, the partner has got a responsibility there. It's actually no really your responsibility, it's his responsibility or her responsibility to say if it's their relative. Fucking aye. I do think they've got a part to play in that as well.
So do you ration people then? Do you like cut off people like 2 a week or something?
No, I'm not that bad. I like to make you see after this comes out, there'll be hundreds of comments. She cut me off and she did that to me and blah blah blah. I don't do it lightly, but I do it. I don't do it every week. I don't do it every week, do I, Maureen?
I don't know. But I don't think it's about numbers. It's, you know, if it takes 1,000 toxic people out of your life, then it's 1,000. But it's
Yes,
not about
I like
numbers.
that. I like
It's
that.
about the quality of life and the quality of relationships.
Definitely.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good way of putting it, because I do it, and that makes me feel better.
But I think relationships are, you know, they're an organic cycle, right? So we evolve together. I'm not friends with my 5th grade friends anymore because we've evolved, like life evolves.
Yeah.
But so sometimes the relationships just like fizzle away, like naturally, because you just part ways.
Yeah, so that's not really cutting them off. It's just
It's not.
that's
Yeah, it's just
life
life.
happens.
And then sometimes you just meet them in the supermarket, and it's like, how are you, and how many kids?
But
and,
do you
how many
dread that?
divorces?
Sometimes I'm like, oh no. Like, that conversation.
Or you're like, up a different
Put my head down.
Oh my god, we've all done that. People that you have full blown conversations with on social media, I'm guilty of that. And you see memes about it, then you see them in Tesco and you're like, you know, I just went in for my milk and toilet roll. Heavily bought toilet roll. Heavily bought toilet roll.
But I think if people, people can come back in your life as well, like,
Yes.
having evolved by themselves, or just, gone through life experiences or whatever. Like, I've had people come, my parents came back in my life. I cut off my parents for 2 years. Massively, like, around my wedding, there was a massive breakdown, and my parents were kind of like, it's him or us. I was like, well, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. So, and they didn't come, and I had organized the whole wedding, like, less than, kilometer, was that? Less than a mile away from where they live. So, and we were living in London by that point, and we got married in France. So it was like the whole town knew what was happening and stuff. It was mortifying, but it happened. I went through with it, and they didn't talk to me for 2 years. I didn't want to talk to them either. And then when I got pregnant, my mom just came back to life. So then the relationship definitely evolved. And there was that aftermath of, like, because all the family friends that my dad had invited, he disinvited them. And some chose to come, and some chose not to come. The ones traveling from the furthest away had already bought the ticket, so they came. And the ones living just in the neighborhood just didn't make it. But yeah, I think, but then they came back. I mean, it was my parents, right? It's not like my 5th grade friend or whatever. So yeah, maybe a bit of
But
it.
do you really, looking back, you think you would have been regrets about it, or do you think no, you handled it in that situation?
I had that whole scenario. No, I was depressed. It took me a while to get out of bed. That was my first, like, I never fancied myself a depressed person before. Like, I wasn't even sure what the depression symptoms were. Like, I was always like the chirpy, optimistic one, and I was like, a vegetable for about 3 days. And then, I was still in that cycle of like 3 weeks before my wedding, so I had to sort of get up and get going. But no, I couldn't stay with my parents, so I stayed with one of my, like, childhood friends, and every night she was scooping me up the floor. That's what friends are for.
That's like
and
the
of course
bereavement.
my husband, it was
It was so hard.
it really was. And then it happened, and then I got married, and I knew that's the thing, like, when it happened, I checked in and I was like, there's no way this is not going through, like, I'm getting married no matter what happens. But my husband Andres didn't have the same situation with his mom, so he never really, I feel like I graduated from my parents. Like, I feel like now I earned the right to be my own freaking woman.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Feel fleshed out.
what I say matter, and this is me and all of that. And but he hasn't really, and I think it makes a difference. I'm still, and he just had a massive breakdown with his mom. And I think at some point, especially when it's your parents, something needs to happen. If it's not healthy, it's gonna happen. Like, my parents all of a sudden freaking out saying, no, you're not getting married. I'm like, excuse me. I beg to differ. But then what happened, just to answer your question, it was like, for pretty much probably until now, I kept the new relationship with my parents to the kids. So just because, like, we don't get on, like, I'm never going to take away the fact that they're grandparents. And like, so I let that, all of our conversations are about the kids. And then my sister got married last year, in November, not last year, but the year before, in Italy. And not only did my parents go, they flew all of their friends who didn't make it to my wedding. And obviously I was there with my family. And do you know what, actually, the way it all happened, it was a massive healing. It felt like, I felt probably as good as my sister on that day. Right? It felt like, okay, we've managed to have a family event. What do you know? It's possible. And B, my dad acknowledged stuff. My dad started crying 2 days before actually apologizing and stuff. My mom also sort of acknowledged stuff. And then my dad, and then when my dad went for the first dance, which I never had with my dad, all of his friends just gathered around me and said, I'm gonna cry, and started sort of holding me. I felt really held. So that was like a lot of healing. And so I wouldn't take it back because I loved that moment. And then actually I was thinking about that this morning for some reason. My sister came to see me at the end of the evening and she was like, I could never have had my wedding, which was amazing, if you hadn't had yours. And it's like, that's a sister.
Well, that's
like,
nice.
you know,
That's
it's like,
really
yeah.
nice.
So I'm good.
And you make a valid point that time is a,
Yeah.
you know, I know it's an old cliche about time healing. It doesn't always work, but it can work and it can make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think for you,
Yeah.
it did.
Yeah,
And that's a
totally.
lovely story that
And
it
just
did.
the life going by and experiences and perspective. And no, it sucked for a few months. And that aftermath of like, not being able to reach out to maybe my parents' friends that I would usually reach out to, or like all of that sort of little world. But that's the thing, I think if you're true to yourself, like if you follow really like what's meant for you, then that's what keeps
That's
you
what's
really,
right.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
what keeps you going.
Yeah, and I think that probably sums up the answer to that question. How do you deal with other people in the families? You just stick to what you feel is the right thing for you. What else is on there, Kat?
Somebody had put, so this is just threw it out there, like Tinder or Instagram preference for dating.
Oh man, don't start there on that. For fuck's sake. Instagram's no fun dating. Or am I something?
I was just like, mate, I don't know either. Like,
Does anybody here have dated on Instagram?
No.
Like, you know, man, who's had a dick pic on Instagram? Me. Do I want them? No. That Instagram, honestly, I could go on for it. I'm a hairdryer when it comes to Instagram. That is not what
Or
it's
LinkedIn.
for. No. Do not. Fucking, I have had it in LinkedIn. No. Do not fucking try to date somebody on Instagram, man. That's not what it's for. Go to Tinder for that. That's the answer to that one, Kat. Tinder. Okay. Right, moving on. That sounds just indifferent to say.
I don't know.
If you met somebody on Instagram, Kat, am I going to have to keep my words here?
Oh, she's gonna get dick pics now.
No, I've had a few and I'm like, it says pass the positivity, no pass the prick.
Have you dick pics as well?
You're just like that, right? Okay, like that's your willy. Like,
You don't even post any pictures of you.
like, you're taking a chance. You don't know. This could be like, this could be a bot account, and you're just like that. Poof. No, I don't know. Like, I've never done Tinder. I've never dated anybody for Instagram either, so I don't know. But I don't know. I think like it's just funny how that's a question now. Like, it's not going to be like, are you going to meet anybody actually in your day-to-day life? Like, are you going to meet somebody in some form of social media? What's the best form of social media to meet somebody? What about just like fucking real life? Like, but so many people I talk to, especially young people, are like that. Like for me, like when you come out of a long-term relationship as well, and you're making jokes about eventually when you get back in the dating game and all this shit, like, and they'll say things like, but you need to be on Tinder, or but you need to be on Bumble, but you need to be in this, but you need to be in that. That's how people meet each other now, Kat. And I'm just like,
no, man, no, just too many no's. No, just get out and, I don't know, it's such a shame, you're right. I mean, I met Keith and Tiger in Glasgow, you know, and I remember that night so clearly. I just think even for your memories and for your chat and the stories and whatever, there's nothing like going out and meeting somebody on a night and getting that whole instant spark, buzz, carry on, whatever. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with using Tinder or any of these apps that are actually for that. I'm not saying that, but it's just a shame that people think that they can't go out and get that experience of meeting somebody and just...
But why is that? Why do they think that? Like,
has the world just gone social media mad?
it's like social anxiety, innit? Like, I know a lot of guys as well that are like that. I would never approach that girl in a bar or whatever, but if I see her on a Instagram or Tinder or whatever, I might send a message. For whatever reason, they think it's less threatening than coming up and having a face-to-face conversation. But I don't know, I know there's success stories for things like that. But it's like online shopping, innit? It's like, I've got what I need, this person ticks every single box, but what if I can get better? Swipe.
But you
I feel
don't-
like there must be that
You don't even know a thing about their personality
I know.
at all. I mean, I know that sounds a bit granny, you know, personalities, but
Personality
that's
It's true.
a
As
big,
well.
say that again.
How much of it's true? Like,
Aye.
you could be anything you want to be.
Can I tell you, right, last weekend, right, I was at a thing and the girl sitting beside me her phone kept beeping and I was like, what's that? And she went, oh, it's my Tinder notifications. So I'm obsessed with like this online dating thing because I just think it's hilarious. I know I've heard a lot of stories and stuff, so I'm like, oh my god, let me see. So that was the first time I'd seen Tinder. So she showed me and she was showing me the guys or whatever and she's swiping through them. And I was like, Jack, you are never fucking 28. 10 years ago you were 28, right? Like, that's a lie, Jack, right off the bat. So many guys, I was like, lying about their age quite clearly. But then when you clicked in the bio, like the things that they were saying, I was like, that fuck off. Like, how is anybody swiping left, right, whatever the fuck it is to go on a date with you? Like, they were like, one guy had a checklist, like, do not contact me if, and then had a list of things that he wasn't interested in. And I was just like, mate, have you seen your profile picture? I know that looks on everything, but I don't think you're in a position to be that fussy. Like, just fucking tone it down a bit. Like, it just blew my mind. She was just showing me stuff that guys were literally saying. One guy actually, I'm like, oh, should I say this? Fuck it, you don't know who it is. Like, she got a message saying something like, your profile picture looks like we're going to have sex soon. And I was honestly just like, no. Like, what do you think's going to happen for that? That she's going to message back and go, oh my god, okay, 2 p.m. Friday? Like,
Bring your sexy up. Let's get to it. Yeah, it's the same as dick pics. It's like, who actually thinks some woman is going to go when they read stuff like that, when they see these pictures? Oh, Jesus, phone me a taxi. Phone me, where does he live? You know, nobody does that. But
it's madness. So I don't know what's better. I hope I never know what's better. So I don't know. Somebody else had put like, can exes still be friends and can exes work together, which I think is kind of a similar. So I don't know what you think there.
yeah, in my experience, and it's only my experience, it's not the rules for everybody. No, it's not for me, definitely no. But don't tell me one of you is working with an ex, are you? No.
No way. I don't think you can either. Like,
No, I can't.
it's maintain professionalism when you want to be a petty.
I really want to
maybe you can't help
put
it,
salt
like-
in these tea instead of sugar and stuff like that.
I've never done that.
No, I just can't in my mind.
As long as it's just all, I'll double check. I don't take sugar. So.
Who even takes sugar? Anyway, it's a joke.
Somebody else asked, can you still sleep together after you've broken up?
No.
Goodness.
Same.
Like, I don't know if they're looking for reassurance here. Like, I don't know.
I don't think we can answer that. There's no right or wrong. You know, I don't want to judge people that do that type of thing. I have done it in the past because I've been so desperate to get back with somebody. You know, I'll admit that as well. I have done that. I've been like, oh, please, leave me alone. You know, that kind of thing years ago, before my husband. But it's muddy water though. It depends what you want out of it, and if you're able to cut off your emotions and it just be sex, you know, that's fine. Healthy sex is all fine and good, but emotionally, are you attached to it? Where is it going to lead you to after it? You need to answer that question yourself.
One person's always attached, aren't they? Like, if one person wants to break up and somebody doesn't, but then it's like, oh, should we sleep together this weekend or whatever? It's like, is it because the two of you are drunk? Is it because one of you are drunk and want to go? Is it because it's an easy option? But there's still somebody with feelings there, I always think. So it's
I
probably
definitely
not the
think.
best idea.
No,
Like,
doesn't sound it. But then if you are doing it and nobody's got no feelings and you're just having sex, then I wouldn't say no, it's not allowed. I would never say that. But yes,
Yeah, do it with your eyes
a
out.
hard one. It depends on the situation, I suppose.
somebody had asked how long before you can move on. I don't think they're asking that directly, looking for a specific answer, because I'd put like, what would you want us to discuss? And again, I think that if that's a discussion, how long before you move on, it's different, isn't it, for everybody? Like,
Some people move on even before the relationship is over.
well,
don't get me started on that.
that's true.
Yeah, so I don't think you can define that. Again, I know a lot of these answers are really subjective and personal. Again, it's down to the individual, and people have got different judgments on that, and I always try to be non-judgmental. You know, I don't think time defines when you do anything. It's your feelings and you know how you feel mentally about it.
Definitely.
Aye.
And are you really moving on, or are you just bouncing off, or the mental state you're in?
Right, we've probably got time for one more.
Right, this is the last one. When trust is gone, can you carry on?
Oh,
That's a big.
That's really well put.
That's a will I answer that?
No, like for me it's a hard no. There's no trust, there's no relationship.
It's an easy answer for me as well. I'm a hard no as well, even though, like, when I think back to my husband and he was cheating, and even although I was desperate and, you know, I felt so low, I knew that I would never be able to go back there, though. I knew that was it. I'm just, you know, I'm a typical Scorpio, you know, I don't want to just throw that in there and say that's the reason, but it does typify my star sign that I would never, once I'm betrayed, that is it for me. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I would be the same. And once that trust is gone, I think you can never, I don't think you could honestly say you would never have at the back of your head what if, or be wondering. So I think for me, hard no as well.
In saying that though, right, and you know, I'm thinking about the people that I know who've been through it and they've got kids and they've stayed with a relationship. I admire them beyond.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, people that can do that, you know, it's not that I'm saying it's a rule, you should never do it, you know, it's, I always think of the other side as soon as I say my view, but people that do go back to the relationship for the kids or for the sake of trying to make it work or whatever, I do admire people that can do that, but it's just not me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're right, when there are other factors in it, it's not just as simple as, you know, it's not between you and them anymore. There's obviously, if there's kids, you want the relationship to work for them, and you obviously try everything that you can to make that work. But I think for me, I think it would be very hard, very difficult to go back there.
It is. I don't know, like, it's, if there's no trust, there's no point. I had a rant or a wee mini rant or whatever recently because I kept seeing this thing that was like, all you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Relationships don't work these days because people walk away from love, and I was like, fuck love, like, it's a part of it, 100%. You need to love somebody and be in love with them. But you can't mask the trust with love. Like, it's totally different.
Yeah.
You can love somebody, walk away from them and be totally heartbroken, and the reason you walked away was because you had zero trust. And like, that's really, really hard. But I just think it's like you said, like, you drive yourself insane wondering things, creating scenarios, like what if this happens, what if this has happened, and then when they are telling you the truth, it's worth nothing because you don't believe it. So you've already made up your mind that you know that they're lying, and you're driving yourself crazy whilst creating this divide, or this wider divide. So I just always think that if you don't have trust, like, you don't really have a relationship or a sustainable relationship, because at some point it's going to come to a head, and then you're going to have to deal with it when it gets to that point. So.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. So again, there's no right or wrong answer, but I think we're all agreed it's a hard no at this table. Anyway, that's us up for time. I can't thank you enough, and you, Nicola. What, that time flew by. What an amazing conversation. I hope that you can come back and talk to us again.
I know. I'm honestly, I didn't know it was getting filmed. I would have wore a different t-shirt.
Kat's page, you're alright on Instagram, full of daily positivity, mental health encouragement, and sunshines
and
all
boobs.
over. And Kat designed our boobs. I nearly forgot about that. Our logo, the W for women, the boobs. Which we love. Can we thank you enough for that? So you're an all-round superstar, so thank you so
People
much.
just need to remember to pass the positivity and not pass the pricks, please. Keep them to yourselves.
Thank you.
No, thank you.